So let's move up to Photoshop Elements.
That's right, Struan. In this case, our previous image, we didn't have enough horsepower or enough tools to get the job done. So let's have a look at Photoshop Elements now and see what we can do with it. All right, so here we are in Photoshop Elements with our image that we couldn't really fix with iPhoto. We're going to take advantage of the extra power that we have in Photoshop Elements to do something here to the color of the bridle that's on our llama here. Let's pretend for some reason we don't want red in the bridle, we want to turn it blue, but we want to leave all the other colors alone. Everything else in this example is fine, so we just want to change that bridle. So with Photoshop Elements, what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the Enhance pull-down menu, and what I'm looking for is my path to something called Adjust Hue Saturation, and that's right here under Adjust Color. I'm going to just mouse over here to Adjust Hue Saturation, and this is going to produce a very, very simple dialog box here. What we got here are three simple sliders. They're pretty easy to understand. It's pretty intuitive. For example, this middle slider is going to control our saturation. If I drag it over to the left, I'm going to slowly lose my saturation and get a black and white preview. If I crank it over to the right, I'm going to increase my saturation and get this very, very garish type result. The other slider up above here is the hue slider, and in plain English, this is a slider that's going to allow you to shift colors. So if I take this slider and click and drag it to the left, you'll notice that all of my colors begin to shift. And when I reach a certain point here, you'll notice that I do get to a point where my bridle goes from red to blue. But the problem is, all of the colors have been shifted. So I've got a really unnatural green sky, and I've got some really weird discoloration here in the fur of the llama. So that might look a little funky, but it's not really the practical result that we're looking for. So how do we fix this? I'm just going to set this back to 0 here. The magic really lies here in this little pull-down menu where you see it set to master. If I open up that little menu, you'll notice that there are a variety of little color groups here. And what I want to do is I want to isolate the reds because the bridle on the llama is red. So let's click on reds. And when I do that, what happens at this point is all these sliders are now only going to affect what's in the red channel. So now if I take the hue slider and do the same thing, if I drag it slowly to the left, I can eventually achieve the blue bridle. So there's my blue bridle, and all the other colors are kind of looking okay except, well, oh geez, I think I got a little bit of a magenta kind of cast here in the fur of the llama. If I go back to my dialog box and uncheck the preview box to see my before, you can see that the llama's fur was kind of yellower a little bit earlier there before I made my adjustment. I fixed the bridle, but I've had a bad impact on the fur there on the animal. Now to fix that, I'm going to come down here to these little rainbows here, these two bars. You'll notice that these two bars have a few little widgets here, and basically what this represents is between these two rectangles here, this is where Photoshop Elements defines as being red. And to the right and to the left are some transitional areas, sort of like the shoulder areas of red. It's basically where red gradually turns into orange and then yellow, and on the other side where red gradually turns into sort of this magenta color. Now the beauty of these little widgets here is that we can move them. So what I want to do here is I still want to affect my reds, but I want to remove the orangey yellow component of what is sort of red. So to do that, I'm going to click and drag on this little widget, this little triangle here. I'm going to click and drag it to the left slowly but surely, and you'll notice here on the fur of the llama, I'm getting rid of my pink cast. So there's my before with the red bridle, and this is my after with the blue bridle without the fur of the llama being adversely affected.